Hi, I'm Brendad Coffey with Sportico and here with Ndamukong Suh, the Super Bowl champ. Congratulations on that, first off.
Thank you very much. Super exciting.
I can imagine. I won my local baseball league's adult championship a few years back. I felt like king of the world. I can only imagine what's like to win a real league, like the NFL.
Yeah, no, it's still surreal. I still haven't had a chance to kind of, I guess, come down from cloud nine. It feels great. And more importantly, just feels great that my family and friends and everybody that's a part of my team is getting honored for the hard work put on the field.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Well, we're here to talk more about investing today than sports, and one of the reasons I'm really glad that you're joining us is because you're at the you're kind of in the lead of athletes and the way they're approaching investing these days, and it used to be a pro would buy a few car dealerships or just hand his money over to someone and let them take care of it. But you're not. You're much more actively involved. And why don't we just start there? Tell me a little bit about your whole approach to it and your philosophy.
Yeah, I've always been brought up in a family from my parents, just from understanding that you got to be hands on. And I've always wanted to be an active investor. Once I got kind of that investor bug, probably about 10 years ago, being around one of my close mentors, a guy named Gary Schiffman, who owns and runs and operates a company called Sun Community. So having had that opportunity, those experiences, I found great interest in investing, finding different opportunities to where I could really add value, whether that's from a celebrity perspective, relationship perspective, which I think is ultimately the biggest value, especially as we move into this particular world. Relationships are one of the key things. And then, as I said, I love just being able to be involved and add value.
Awesome, awesome. Well, you're involved with a SPAC, a fast acquisition that just recently announced a deal to take Fertitta Entertainment, which has some casinos and some restaurants public. That deal's still pending. I don't know how much you can talk about that, given that, but what's interesting about it too is that SPAC started way back in the spring, before
Mhm.
SPACs exploded and everyone wanted to do a SPAC. Tell me a little bit about the genesis of that and how you got involved.
Yeah, so there's a great group of guys, an amazing management team that's on fast, and one of the leads on that is a guy named Doug Jacobs. We met probably about 3 to 4 years ago via his company called and Pizza, which is a great concept that he has in and around New York and the Northeast area. And so having that relationship with those guys and understanding the management team that they were putting together, and myself wanting to be involved pretty heavily on the hospitality side, just with the relationships that I have with some of the likes of General Atlantic or Andreessen Horowitz, and understanding their ability and relationships in the food market. I thought it would be a great fit for myself to add value. And those are some of the things that I did. I actually had read Mr. Tillman's book prior to knowing that we were looking at his particular company as well as some others. And for me, I love food. So it was right down my path of interest in something that I'm super involved in. I have my own restaurants that I aspire to continue to grow and hopefully turn public at some point in time.
Yeah, and I know you've been involved with investments and businesses for a long time now. You're on the board of a publicly traded company, Ballantine, and you have been for a number of years. How has the SPAC experience as an advisor with fast acquisition, how has that been different than your role as a board member of a public company?
Yeah, it's been different from aspects of just kind of understanding the rules and regulations and not being able to speak about certain things, which that also happens in the on the public side as well, of being a part of Valentine Strong. And really just it's really the underwriting, all the different pieces that are going into it, and how all those pieces kind of work together. A lot of moving parts, and a lot of different pieces that all have to come together, and then obviously being able to identify these same companies that make sense, that they're going to be able to take these funds and continue to grow, and obviously have the right management, versus it kind of being, I think that we're going to see in the future some of these SPACs that are going to kind of fall apart because it's just people are trying to just throw away companies and really just get companies into a SPAC, so where they're kind of off books or creating some value that really isn't there. So we've always prided ourselves on having an ability to bring something that's true to the public markets, and that's going to have an opportunity to be something very special.
How was it sort of hunting for a target? What were some of the takeaways you got from that? I mean, I'm sure you both, once you went public, you had ideas of companies maybe you wanted to approach. Maybe you just got cold calls too from people like, hey, take my company public.
Yeah, I think a lot of the things that we looked at and that what I was primarily focused on was companies that I knew that had a lot of I had big growth trajectories. And for me, I wanted to be able to have those conversations with those CEOs, and then connect them into the management team for them to even do further deep dives with the companies. And I think that's the most important piece, to make sure you have those experts that we have on our management team, to be able to kind of say, all right, here, these are some great companies that you have brought to the table. We're going to take some good looks at them, and then we'll obviously come collectively and make a decision from that standpoint.
Okay, great. Why the role of an advisor rather than director?
I do have a full-time job in playing football. So although I feel that I'm very good at time management, obviously you want to have respect and understanding what I need to be able to do on the football field, as well as some of my other endeavors that I aspire to be, because I'm very big into the real estate markets and a big focus there as well. So I think an advisory role is something that gives me the flexibility to drive down in, take a deep dive with the company, work on some aspects, but then be able to come up for some air, and then be able to move on to the next piece as well.
Yeah, I assume that just from you saying that you're not going to be involved in Tillman's business when it comes public.
As of right now, that's not the plan. No.
Yeah, thanks. Well, one of the things that's really interesting too is as a longtime financial journalist, I can attest that anytime a celebrity or an athlete gets involved in something kind of in the markets, is at least there's a lot of skepticism comes out, right? What that they're flashy names. What do they really bring to it? And you see that. A-Rod and Colin Kaepernick and you and Shaquille, your SPACs, you sort of get press from that, but then there's a lot of backhanded compliments, and I'd love to get your thoughts on what is it you bring, what athletes bring to this process, that surely has value beyond just your name recognition.
Yeah, I think name recognition is low hanging fruit. I think when I look at it from perspective of, like I said, I always like to find ways to add value, and it's really being able to sit down in a boardroom or wherever it may be, get on the whiteboard, understand what is the ultimate goals, and one of the greatest things about being a professional athlete and fostering great relationships based on what was afforded to me from the NFL Shield and things of that nature, and being a part of major companies like Chrysler and or Nike that have put me out into the public world. It affords me the ability to say, all right, I'm 1 degree of separation from really anybody, let alone probably a quarter of degree of separation from anybody. And so being able to know what our focuses are, what we want to get accomplished, finding ways to get things done. I think that's where myself and some other folks that I can't necessarily speak for, that are professional athletes, have the ability to do. Also, we have ways of thinking things a lot differently. So I think a lot of people that may have grown up a certain way and have been educated a certain way have their particular mindset of, all right, yes, we all agree in this particular focus, but I may look at something totally different and be able to bring a different viewpoint.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting, because so much of the opportunities today is all around disruption, right? There's disruption in the media and disruption in the way consumers absorb things. And one of my kids is always on TikTok, and I honestly, I'm still not sure what TikTok is, but I think, is it, an athlete, you're much more tapped into that sort of consumer trends and kind of, and those sort of fresh ways of looking at things.
Yeah, we definitely have not only from consumer ways, but the culture, which I think is culture in this day and age is everything. If you're being able to blend in and understand what the culture is looking for, allows for these companies to understand what's the best way to target your particular audience, excuse me, and the ability to get them what they're looking for. And I think that's very important in the hospitality business, just from that simple name. You're being hospitable to these people and delivering them something special that they want to have.
Yeah, yeah. Now, so what's your take then on SPACs? I know you mentioned earlier, there'll probably be some that fall apart because of management quality and things of that sort. And obviously, I think there's already been more SPACs that either had their IPO or filed for an IPO this year than all last year. What's your take on it generally going forward?
I think it's great opportunity, and I think as long as you understand all the rules and regulations, at the same time the ability to have a strong management team and strong companies that you're going after, and put all the pieces together, I don't think you have any fear in those particular pieces. Joe Mowgli, I think, probably said it the best when he was on CNBC the other day, and he's actually a close mentor of mine. It's coming down to understanding the details of what's going on with these companies, providing them this value with the SPAC, but then merging it all together to become one successful unit. And I think that's going to be the key for the SPACs that are successful in this, I guess you would say, bubble.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I mean, Joe Mowgli, just for people who don't know, is a guy who started out as a football coach. I think he's a defensive coach at Dartmouth and had the opportunity to go to Miami back when it was the U in the early 80s, but didn't pay enough and went into financial services instead. And to cut a long story short, ended up coaching Coastal Carolina last decade, and now has done his own SPACs, and he was head of TD Ameritrade too. Really interesting story there, Joe Mowgli. Did you find with fast acquisition there were a lot of deals that but if you had but world enough and time, you could have pursued? Or do you think there's still a lot of businesses out there worth pursuing?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of great businesses that are out there to pursue, and there's a lot of them that are up and coming that may just be a little too young for us to have done in Fast One. So, from my perspective, I think there's going to be more as we continue to grow, and then you'll be able to see the separation of what those quality companies are and the ones that aren't, that we've looked at. And time is of, I wouldn't say of the essence. It's going to be the better thing for us to be able to let time move and see how things will work out, and really see if our hunches are exactly right as we continue to dive deeper. But I think we had a great opportunity with Tillman, and why we executed there, and being able to kind of hopefully bring that all together here in the interim.
Great, great. Now I know you're not just in SPACs, but you have some you're in venture capital and real estate, restaurants, where it was SPACs or otherwise. Where are you seeing your business future going? Or what opportunities are you excited about?
Yeah, my business future, I think it's very, very bright. I have a development company here in Portland, Oregon, where I'm from, with a very close friend in one of the leading construction companies here in the Pacific Northwest, which I'm very excited about. We're doing some amazing things, especially when it comes to housing for young Black professionals. And then in addition to that, just the relationships that I've been able to foster and be able to have, as I mentioned, with John Atlantic and Dreesen, even more importantly, Marcy Venture Partners with Jay-Z and Jay Brown, being able to invest alongside those guys in certain companies, and do different SPVs and things of that nature, allows me to continue to grow and expand my knowledge, and get amazing exposure to all these great companies that are doing amazing things.
Awesome, awesome. You think any sports ownership in your future? Any limited partner or majority owner? Any aspirations there?
I've got lots of aspirations there. I've actually looked at it a handful of times, just haven't pulled the trigger. I really want to find something that makes the most sense for myself. And having being an athlete myself, I feel like I can add tremendous value to any particular organization, as I like to add value in my own organizations that I play for, and see myself as a partner there in a lot of the aspects. So I would love to get into some ownership, particular stakes, whether it's in the basketball realm, American football, or European football, as I call it, and really just having an opportunity to kind of my experiences that I've had in the sports industry, pass them along, and really just love the opportunity to get other people's takes and views within the business community, and seeing how things work. I'm always fascinated to learn. I'm still a young 34-year-old. I may be old for football, but I'm young in the business world. So I've got lots of things to learn and soak up, and I'm excited to my post career, but I'm still not done with my first career.
Great. That's great. Yeah. That's the, once you're done as an athlete, you still have a long time ahead of you, which is sort of a plus. Well, fantastic. Well, and Ndamukong Suh, thank you for joining us today. I think we had a great conversation. I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate it as well. And it's a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah. Nice to speak with you.